Morning. Welcome to the Bucks County Commissioners meeting for September 21st, 2022. We'll begin with, morning, try that again. Welcome to the County Commissioners meeting for September 21st, 2022. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. All right, we have a few presentations this morning. We're going to start with Commissioner Marseglia reading a proclamation for Nova's anti-bullying walk.
Thank you very much, and I know that you'll be joining me at this walk. And I know you'll be joining me at this walk, right?
Yes.
So whereas more than 22,000 children will likely be bullied this year in Bucks County, according to statistics from PACER's National Bullying Prevention Center. And whereas Bucks County's network of victim assistance, NOVA, is committed and trusted to provide counseling, advocacy, community education, prevention programs, and more to individuals, groups, and schools. And whereas for NOVA's 10th annual No Bullying Run, participants have a collective goal to log 22,808 miles by the end of October, which is recognized as National Bullying Prevention Month, with each mile representing a Bucks County child who has been bullied or will be bullied in 2022. And whereas miles can be completed at all at once or throughout the month by reporting them to NOVA's No Bullying Run events page. And whereas the funds raised from last year's event helped to provide free prevention education programs to tens of thousands of Bucks County students. And whereas the month-long No Bullying Run walk, stroll, or roll event will kick off 9 a.m. Sunday, October 2nd with NOVA's first annual Upstander Day celebration at Central Park in Doylestown, featuring live entertainment, kid-friendly activities, and more. So now, therefore, do we, the Bucks County Commissioners, hereby proclaim October 2nd, 2022 as Upstander Day throughout the County of Bucks. And in so doing, we commend NOVA for their dedication to protecting victims of bullying, as well as other forms of emotional and physical abuse. We encourage all residents of Bucks County to be upstanders, not bystanders, when something goes wrong. Thank you. It's an honor to read that.
Thank you. I know Michelle Cash is here from NOVA to receive the proclamation, also talk a little bit about the program and what NOVA does. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us. Good
Morning.
morning. And I'm Mary Worthington, Director of Prevention Education and Training at NOVA.
Yep.
I'm Mary Worthington, Director of Prevention and Education and Training at NOVA. And I just want to thank you for this proclamation. And as Commissioner Marseglia said, NOVA works to support victims of serious crime in Bucks County. And one of our goals is to work with our children and youth to help them recognize their roles, their responsibility, and help them live safe and happy lives. And we use the term upstander. We've been using the term upstander in our prevention education programs for over 12 years. We want children to build empathy and understand that if they see something happening, there's things they can do in a kind and caring way to the victim of the crime and also the person who's perpetrating the bullying behaviors. One of the things that we really suggest to children is if you're comfortable and you know the person who's doing the bullying behavior, step in and ask them to stop. But if you're not comfortable, if you don't feel safe, that's not needed. Go to the person, the victim, the target after the fact, and say, what can I do to help you? Where can we go? Who are some of the trusted adults we can talk to? Building that support and building those networks is really, really critical. The other thing I just want to say is that, and I'm maybe showing my age, but the Beatles have a song with the words, I get by with a little help from my friends. Oh, I'm going to try with a little help from my friends. And one important factor of being an upstander and talking to children about upstander behaviors is encouraging them to be a group, to form a caring support, not only to help the victim, but to help the person doing the bullying behavior recognize that's not okay, because we want to grow safe and healthy children, and that's our goal.
So I'm Michelle Cash, and thank you so much for having us here today. I'm the fundraiser, so I get to raise the money that that supports all these wonderful programs. And this event, this No Bullying Run, is one of the main ways we raise money to reach kids in Bucks County with this message of not only why it's important to be an upstander, but how to do it. So this is an incredibly important event to us and to our community. I have some information here about it. We encourage everybody, as your proclamation does, to register for this event. We'd love to invite any of you who would like to. I know there's several of you who said you might be interested to come be a part of Upstander Day and to see in person the community that we're building around these issues. So thank you so much for your proclamation. We really, truly appreciate it and the attention it's bringing to the work that we do.
Thank you. So, you have it come on up. Proclamation.
And Katie Sanford, our primary prevention coordinator, is going to join us.
Thank you.
Just to show your support.
Great. Thank you very much for everything you're doing. Thank you.
Can I ask one of you to take a question? Can I ask one of you from Nova to take a question for me? I'm just wondering, now that school started, are you seeing social media as a bullying tool still as much as it has been in the past?
Probably more so now than ever. One of the effects of COVID, when kids were at home and not in school, they even resorted to their devices more now than ever. So we do talk about that in our cyber safety programs. We talk about social media, chat rooms, posts, comments, and also about exclusion, leaving somebody out, because that can happen on social media too. So we have, Katie, as a matter of fact, has an increased number already of requests for high school programs where we're going to be doing that.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we're going to hear from Diane Rosati, Bucks County Drug and Alcohol Commission. As we announced a few months ago, I asked Diane to lead a committee to take a look at what the county could do with the money that we're going to be getting from the National Opioid Settlement. And so the work of that committee is pretty close to being done, and she's going to talk a little bit about what they've done so far and the next couple steps. So, Mr. Rosati.
Good morning. Thank you, Commissioner. On behalf of the Opioid Advisory Committee, the OAC, appointed by Commissioner Harvey in May, and that includes several members that are here today, and so I want to call those folks out. Elena Hardison, Mickey Kasinger, Bill McVeigh, Rachel Neff, and members who are not able to be here today, Tim Wynn, Ryan Schweiger, and Susan Osterman. Thank you so much for the opportunity to prepare the proposed plan of expenditures of Bucks County's opioid settlement funds. As you directed, we developed a transparent and inclusive process. Our committee has held a series of meetings between the months of May and September. We held 2 public forums and established an email account, oac@buckscounty.org, to elicit community input into the plan. OAC members committed to these principles throughout our planning process. We agreed that we would apply the opioid settlement funds to address the detrimental effects of the opioid and overdose crisis currently experienced in Bucks County, and to help protect the community from such negative effects in the future. We would provide services related to opioid use disorders and co-occurring disorders and mental health issues to all communities and all residents in Bucks County with respect, with dignity, and with equity, while supporting culturally appropriate programming. Whenever possible, we would use existing resources so that opioid settlement funds could be directed to addressing gaps in service and maintaining and establishing programs, and activities. We would support additional services that complement and enhance existing programs while avoiding unnecessary duplication of efforts. We would provide sustainability for proven and effective services for expiring grant programs. And finally, collaborate with community organizations to develop, implement, and sustain services for our Bucks County residents. The OAC held 9 meetings and eventually prepared and recently submitted a draft plan for consideration. Though still under review, the plan includes an array of both new and expanded services and follows the guidance of the Attorney General's office under what is referred to as Exhibit E, a listing of approved services that encompasses core strategies and approved uses. As a result, priority services are proposed to fulfill a full continuum of services, including the following: community and evidence-based prevention, stabilization and treatment expansion, family member support, harm reduction strategies, increasing community awareness of resources, and recovery supports. We very much look forward to the impact of these projects and services and stand ready to launch and expand programming. As the designated chair of the OAC, I want to take a moment to thank our OAC members who reviewed our incoming input, participated in our forums and meetings and numerous email discussions, and ultimately helped to move the plan forward to meet the goals that we have and we know that you share with us, which is a healthier Bucks County and to support our Bucks County residents. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. And I know Tim Wynn did sneak in at the end there. So, so I want to thank you. I want to thank, obviously, the members. Yeah, I've kind of gone through the report myself. I know we're gonna meet next week to go through some of the things that this is your field of expertise, as it is for the people who are on that committee, which is why they were on that committee. So I need a little bit of education, and so I'm looking forward to sitting down and talking with you to try and get some more of that, and then we'll release the plan to the public, and we'll start working on it. So, but any comments or questions from?
I just want to thank you, Diane, and the members of the committee for your hard work and doing this. I mean, this is, as you all know, it's an extremely important issue, and we're going to get an awful lot of money, and I've always believed that it's the local people in their own counties or communities that know where the money is best being spent. And I think you've done a pretty comprehensive job in putting the report together. I'm looking forward to reviewing it and working with you on it in the next few days or next week. And, it is such an incredibly important issue to the residents here in Bucks County. This disease is not getting any better. If anything, it's getting worse instead of better. So we have to do everything we can to try to protect our citizens and keep people alive. So thank you for your good work.
Thank you.
I would just quickly add my thanks and also say that I appreciate how swiftly this group was able to get together and make some of these recommendations to Commissioner Harvey. And we will be swift as well, because the problem is here and we can't wait anymore. So, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, we're going to move into public comment on agenda items. I do see a few people signed up to speak about, as agenda items, things which we just heard presentations on, bullying and the Opioid Advisory Committee. So those, since they're not actually on our agenda, I'm going to move those to general, and you can speak about them then. The first name for an agenda comment, I'm also going to remind people we've had some issues with people who are drifting, shall we say, away from the agenda item. So if you're coming to speak about an agenda item, the idea is to speak on that agenda item. We are going to hold you to that. This is taxpayer money, taxpayer time. A lot of people seem to be concerned about taxpayer money, so let's make sure we're focused on the actual agenda item that you're signed up to speak about. First person is Priscilla Linden.
Priscilla Linden from Upper Makefield Township. That's a very agenda item I wish to speak to. I object last meeting to people using public comment as the agenda item. There's important business to be covered by the Bucks County Commissioners. Just looking at today's agenda, I've seen that there are issues and policies developing about emergency response teams and medical distribution, home support services, mental health and substance abuse services, drug and alcohol treatment programs, on-call support services, children and youth support services, public safety training for police departments, medication-assisted treatment programs, drug testing programs, infrastructure to facilities like HVAC,
Ms. Linden.
insulating panels, whatever.
You need to pick one of those and talk about them, or ask a question about it.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, more time has been spent on those who are ranting and raving about personal attacks and political vendettas
yes,
than on these agenda
Okay.
items.
All right, so which one do you want to talk about?
That one, because
Well, but that's not an agenda item. Yeah,
It
this
was
is.
last month, that's what I'm
Well,
objecting to.
that was last month.
That is what I'm complaining
Okay,
about.
all right.
And if
But
you're gonna
that-
stop that, wonderful.
That was the last
There's no
meeting.
more Jamie,
Well, we don't need to,
Megan
yeah,
shows anymore.
let's just, is there
Because
something on
the
our,
premise of their complaints
Is Ms.
has been preempted
Ms.
because
Linden.
David Damsker did send them
Ms.
out.
Linden.
All right, thank you.
okay. All right, so, starting out strong. Next item on the agenda, Lori Katz.
Agenda item 3, A, B, and C. While switching to electronic poll books can be an improvement, it can also be the doorway for serious problems. There's precious little information available to the public on these new poll books. I have some questions. To simplify programming, it appears that each iPad will be loaded with all the voter data for the entire county. If this is true, it means a lost, stolen, or hacked iPad contains images of signatures for all Bucks County voters. That information would be a treasure trove for bad actors. Additionally, I certainly hope that these iPads are never connected to the internet. A bad actor could hack these devices and gain real-time voter information. Mail-in ballots could be put in drop boxes as late as 8 p.m. on Election Day. If a bad actor knows someone did not vote, they could perhaps vote on their behalf. Our state representative has told us that court rulings have gutted many of the system's safeguards, such as signature verification. Is Bucks County really going to reject suspicious ballots, or will they say a vote is a vote and send it through to be counted? It appears that backup paper copies of the poll books are being made. Is this for all the polling locations? If not, a failure of the new system could disenfranchise many people. 2 weeks ago, I lost my right to speak at this meeting because of the electronic sign-up sheet system failed. I do not have a lot of faith in Bucks County implementing a new electronic system because something as simple as a sign-up sheet was too hard to manage. How are we to trust that electronic poll books won't be a disaster? If people are disenfranchised at the polls, will their complaints be ignored, or will they be gavelled into silence like I was 2 weeks ago? You belittle our concerns about mail-in voter fraud and call us extremists and conspiracy theorists. When someone wants to do a canvass to verify that voters exist and actually voted for themselves. You belittle our concerns about using software and scanners to count votes. It is not a conspiracy theory that in November 2020 in Anne Arundel County, Michigan, 6,000 votes were swapped in the Dominion voting system. It was called human error. This past May in DeKalb County, Georgia, Michelle Long Spears, a Democratic candidate in a primary, was reported to come in fourth. A hand count of the actual paper ballots showed that she won the race. This too was called human error. Guess what? We have humans programming our machines. You like to call people who have different views of things conspiracy theorists, but these days the difference between a conspiracy theory and breaking news is 3 to 6 months. Thank you.
Alex Enton.
Good morning. Long-time listener, first-time speaker. I just want to say obviously, the jobs that you three commissioners hold is very difficult, and a lot of the things that you are responsible for is not something that we as the citizens and of residents of Bucks County really get to see all of. So I do understand there's a lot of stuff that's involved, and I do appreciate all of the hard work that you guys do. In regards to Agenda 3, I wanted to find out, was there a beta run on the e-poll books before we implemented them to make sure that they were running properly? And because now it seems like, based on the items, is that we're going to be spending more money on those e-poll books with backups and so forth. So wanted to find out about that. Also, reading the agenda items, it seems like a lot of it feels like it's esoteric in the sense that there's not a lot of information about it. So we kind of have to question, what is it about? What's in regards to? If we had a little bit more explanation on it, on the agenda itself or on the website as a breakdown of what it includes, that I think would eliminate a lot of the questions that people have in public comment to ask of what's going on. Also, in regards to the whole election and Agenda 3 item, with Gene's suggestion of having staff there guarding the boxes, which is great, I wanted to find out, if somebody does come in and actually gets caught throwing in more than one ballot, are they going to be arrested? Are they going to be prosecuted? What's going to happen to that person? Or are we just going to say, okay, we got your information, see you later, and is the box going to be open to be removed, their ballots? What other things are going to happen outside of somebody standing by those boxes? So that would be great to know as well. Outside of that, that's all for me. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Mackhouse.
Okay, Ed Mackhouse, Agenda Item 3 from Buckingham. On election integrity is very important. And electronics, I disagree with using all electronics. I believe in paper backup. There's hacking, billions of dollars are lost even from banks and all from hacking. And so there's no perfectly secure methods when you do stuff online and when you do electronically. So I think that's very questionable, and I'm against that. As far as mail-in ballots, using that and counting that, I think that's a very sensitive issue. I don't believe that the legislature authorized sending out mass mail-in ballots to people, and the governor's signing up people for the election, automatically signing up to be registered. I think the election integrity, we have a responsibility in this to treat everyone fairly and properly, not intimidate people. Like when Putin went into Ukraine.
Mr. Mackhouse,
this is related to the election.
That's not really, no. How's this related to
The election.
item 3A? No, it's got to be about the actual agenda, not just elections in general. So,
Okay, the 3A is
or B or C.
why we should believe that this electronic thing is being done to protect or to benefit our community. So it believes in a certain amount of faith. Are they doing this to steal elections or to make the elections more secure? I don't see how electronic thing makes it more secure. And when a president calls 75 million voters fascists, like Putin called Ukraine fascists, I think that's fighting words. And I don't think we should do fighting words. We should find ways to get along and trust elections and our process. We need a bipartisan two-party system like you have here, bipartisan two-party. We need two parties having power so that there is not only bipartisan things, but two-party system, not a one-party dictatorship where people do stuff without having proper feedback and safeguards. I don't feel, as a physicist, scientist, engineer, did computers and believed in checking things, it's very hard to make a computer program that is safe. And you can test it. The more lines you have, the more difficulty it is. So I don't think that this is entirely safe. And I don't think it's satisfactory. Standards in the paper ballots meet with electronics can meet standards. This is not right, and I appreciate your.
Okay, thank you. Next name on the list is Beth Curcio.
Good morning. I wanted to speak on Agenda 3 in the Board of Elections. I'd like to know who came up with the iPad signature. All of us have signed in electronically somewhere. I know I do it with my credit card, and I'm going to tell you 100% my signature does not look anything like my written signature on an iPad or computer or anything like that, or my cell phone. So I want to know how we're going to have security that way, and whose idea was it to spend this money to get these electronics? Where are we getting the electronics from? Are they connected to the internet? You know, at this point, most of us believe that we have a uniparty, and it's just politicians to politicians and the laundering of the money. So we deserve fair elections in Bucks County. We deserve fair elections in Pennsylvania. It is now going to the Supreme Court about what happened in Delaware and Philadelphia with all of the cheating. You guys, there are pictures of the ballots and everything else. There's tons of things. We have pictures of people stuffing the ballots. And, you know, are we going to have, who's going to be manning these boxes? We are the only country that does stuff like this. Some countries take fingerprints and ID. What is so bad about election integrity? Are you really going to say it's racist? Are you going to tell black people they don't have a license, for goodness sakes? It's not racist to have one vote for one person. There's nothing wrong with that. So I would like to know that. Whose idea was it? And, you know, just here, we had a glitch last week. We had a glitch this morning on your electronics. So what makes you think for one moment that they're going to work? So I'd like an answer how they're going to work. And then what are you going to do when they go down? We're spending more money. Again, it's a waste of taxpayer money. It takes a second for them to turn that book around and for me to sign my name. Thank you.
Thank you. Andy Warren.
First and foremost, I do not want to talk about item 3. However, I would have a question or two about item B1A to C. Is that $70,000 COVID money? B2, C to D, and what is the source of that funding?
Wait, I'm sorry. Which? So you're looking at your item number A, Area Agency and Aging? That's what you're talking about? When you say B1, that's what you mean?
Yeah,
Okay.
B resolutions.
Okay.
Item number 1.
Okay.
A, B, small letter A, B, C.
Okay.
Item number
2.
2, C and D, what are the source of those? Item number 11, seldom do I ever question revenue coming to Bucks County. But my question today is, if I read this right, $8.7 million was spent by the county for vaccinations, and where originally was the $8 million? Was that just plain old tax money or what? And to finish, item 13B, what is the amount of that? 13D and F. I am a strong supporter of the African American Museum. I just wanted to get a little straight because I go past what it will be every day. Is this $2.6 million the final estimate of what it's going to cost to create that? And the building, although we've rented it for $1, it is a county, it will be a county building, correct? And the last one, 16B16 AFI. $1.1 million for sign-on bonuses a week after none other than the President of the United States said the pandemic's over. If it's over or slowing down or whatever, why are we still paying people sign-on bonuses to come to work?
Okay. All right, there are all the agenda items. Like I said, there were a few people who signed up for, one person signed up about the opioid settlement. That's not on our agenda, so I'll call that person when we get to general. So just kind of getting to some of the questions, since a lot of the questions were about the elections items. 3A, it was the Board of Election staff that raised the idea of using the tablets as sign-ins for a number of reasons. First, this county prints about 27,000 pages of paper twice a year, because we, here in this building, have to print every single poll book. I forget how many cartridges of ink there are. It's dozens and dozens of cartridges of ink every single election. So primary and general, for a couple weeks, our Board of Elections, we have people that literally all they do is print. And so those books, and then if anybody who's voted in person, you know, you go up to the book and, you know, well, you're not in this book, you're in this book, so now you get into a different line. There are a lot of people who show up at a poll and maybe they've just moved or maybe the lines have changed and now they don't know where they're new voters, not sure where they're supposed to vote. They think they vote over here, they don't know. And those books only have the information about people at that precinct, which means the phones in this building start ringing around 7 a.m. on Election Day, and they don't stop for most of the day. And a lot of it is judges of elections calling and saying, hello, I have Joe Smith here. He's not on my list, but he says he's a voter. Can you tell me what precinct they're supposed to vote in so I can tell them what? Bless you. So these tablets do a number of things. First off, they are not connected to the internet. They do contain the names of every voter in Bucks County for the reason so that if you go up to a polling place, you don't know where you're supposed to vote, they can literally tell you right there by putting your name in, oh, you go to this place, here's the address, and you're on your way. And there's no wait time in terms of having to wait for a judge of elections who's doing other things to then call here and then wait, get an answer, and then somebody has to look it up, and then get, you know, much faster, much more convenient for the voter themselves. The pads also have every voter, so that it doesn't matter if you have multiple pads in a precinct. It doesn't really matter which line you get in because they're going to be able to pull your name up anyway. The signatures do show up for the operator of the machine so that if you signed your name and it's flipped back to the operator, they can compare it to the signature that's on file. The machines themselves, trying to remember all the other questions here, were tested. We have said this before, that they were tested in multiple polling places throughout the county at random. Different precincts were chosen. They received rave reviews from areas that were predominantly Republican and areas that are predominantly Democratic. The precinct poll workers absolutely loved them and begged us to, you know, these are going to be permanent now, right? Was basically the question, the answer we kept getting, or the input we kept getting from people. And we got nothing but positive replies from voters themselves. So they were tested. They do save us money in the long run. We are printing poll books this time simply because this will be the first election where everyone's using them. So if there's any kind of difficulty among the poll workers themselves who are going to be trained on these, they will have a paper backup. So if they really want to use that poll book and they just don't want to use the tablet yet, you know, that's okay. These are tablets that are used in other counties. I'm assuming they're also used around the country in different places. I understand this is new technology for Pennsylvania. We are behind in a lot of ways, which is quite frankly embarrassing given the history of this Commonwealth. We are behind in certainly minimum wage. We're behind in environmental protection. We're behind in issues regarding elections. Mail-in ballots have been used in most states for a decade, if not more, including predominantly Republican states like Utah. So these are steps that we are taking to make voting easier for people, to make it more accessible, to make it easier on the people who work for elections. And so it's trying to address the questions that you have. The issue of computer programs not being safe was raised. I'm sure a lot of us here buy stuff on Amazon. I'm sure a lot of us here have inputted data into Netflix and Disney Plus and Hulu, and I'm sure a lot of us pay our bills online. I'm sure a lot of us do credit card purchases online. Those are all things that have an impact in terms of your safety and your security. So these are systems that are, quite frankly, safer than those. So I see our chief clerk has, go ahead.
I just wanted to also add that I live in a small precinct, so I don't usually have a line, but we have a number of precincts that have hour-long lines, hours during some elections. And when we've looked at it, it was always because of the length of time it takes with the poll book. So they've been asking us for a long time to help them.
The one thing I wanted to add, thank you, Commissioners, there was a question, I think, specifically about signature verification and how that works. Bucks County, in addition to all the boards of elections throughout the 67 counties in Pennsylvania, are required to use the Department of State SURE system. It is a computer system that is used for voter registration, voter verification, and so when someone registers to vote or when they do a mail-in ballot application, our clerks pull that individual up on the screen and they verify their address, they verify a driver's license number, they verify a social security number, and indeed, and I've actually done this myself, during the presidential when we needed a lot more hands on deck, we verify the signature. And the machine, the Blue Crest, which is referenced in, I think, which one? A.
B. Oh, no, A, sorry.
Also, we can verify signatures on it. And that signature is verified by what we would see on the screen or what we see on an application or an envelope, and then what is comparable to the SURE system. And we have done that. RDA, Mr. Weintraub helped us. There was one case of voter fraud, and we used the signature verification to show it. So we are very, very careful in the Board of Elections. The process we use is the same process used throughout 67 counties. And there was one other question, I think, about our ballot boxes. Our ballot boxes have been always manned in Bucks County, and that is a vote that our Board of Elections has taken every election. And there has been instances, I won't get fully into the details, but our DA is involved, and we continue to monitor them again. And I would say, as the person that is a division leader of the Board of Elections, that we're very proud of the job we do there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, thank you. There is as I was going to say, that there is a protocol we've had in place since the spring of 2020 for what happens if somebody puts more than one ballot in a ballot box. That procedure has been used every single time that it's happened. It does involve the district attorney's office every single time, and the Board of Elections then makes a determination about those ballots. So, I'm confident as well. And for the people who work in our Board of Elections, the staff who work here, it's difficult. I feel bad for them. Certainly, I signed up for this. This is the business I've chosen. So the attacks and bad-mouthing is something that, I just get used to, and I don't, quite frankly, I don't care. But for the people who work here every day, 365 days a year, who are registering voters and processing applications and helping people, they certainly don't deserve to be criticized and questioned and have their integrity impugned, and that's what's happening. I know people sort of like to come up and talk to us as if we're the ones who do all the work, but quite frankly, we're not. When you say that people are, breaking the law and fraudulent elections, you're not talking about the three of us up here. You're not even talking about Ms. Humphrey. You're talking about people whose names you don't know, who work every single day in our Board of Elections office and have, for decades, some of them, doing a very good job of making sure that the elections are run fairly. So, I feel bad for them. The other issues that came up, Mr. Warren asked quite a few issues. Mr. Warren, I do want to apologize to you as well. At our last meeting, you raised an issue, a question I did not get to. You raised specifically a question about Centennial School District and a workforce and economic development arrangement. That was for a paid internship for students. So there are some students at William Tennant who are going to get paid internships paid for through workforce and economic development. We also are going to reimburse the school for the time the teacher spends helping to coordinate that. In turn for what? In turn for helping them get jobs. I mean, that's the idea. It's just designed to, it's like a pilot program, sure. Yeah. So in terms of a lot of the questions, I know I'm going to be turning to staff for some of these. I was having trouble keeping track of a lot of them. I'll kind of go reverse order. You asked about staff and retention and sign-on bonuses, and the pandemic's over, but the economic impact has not gone away. Certainly the inflation we have seen is still a part of the pandemic and the world shutting down its economy and then having to pick back up again. And so, yes, we have social service partners who have trouble staffing, whether it's serving people with disabilities or people who are suffering with substance abuse or children. They are having trouble finding staff, quite frankly. And so anything we can do to help them hire and retain staff helps the people that we want to help in the long run. So the African American History Museum, the couple bids you see here, this is not the final. This is the the general contractor. And who else? Is it electrical? Or mechanical, sorry. So we're still waiting on elevator and electrical, I believe, and I think plumbing maybe as well, I think, yeah. So you want to touch on some of them, Ms. McKevitt? Some of them are about funding. I know some of the funding is coming, just a mixture of state funding. I think that was with BHDP.
Sorry. All of the Area Agency on Aging is our grant funds coming in. Rachel, do you want to add anything to BHDP?
Allegria and Woods Community Services?
Yeah, those are programs that are being supported by our Health Choices Reinvestment Funding. Right. So that's under our Behavioral Health and Developmental Programs Department.
Yeah. So not ARPA, not CARES.
No.
This is just the normal funding. We get funding from the state, and then we have to match or put up some percentage of it ourselves.
Right.
Oh,
That's go ahead, sorry.
So the Area Agency on Aging, and Carol Boyle's in the back here from Aging, those are block grant funding streams from our state. And we were updating our contracts with certificates of compliance and business associates agreements, lobbying disclosure statements, but the funding is from the state. It is not Rescue Plan Act funds.
No. You asked a it's a lot. Yeah, so Ms. Boyle is saying it's your lottery dollars at work. When you hear about, lottery dollars help support seniors in Pennsylvania, this is where that's going. So there was a question about the paginite panels at the Public Safety Training Center and the cost. I don't see that.
So
yeah, the cost that was entered into on-base was $118,000.
Right.
I'm just not sure why it's not on the agenda, but it is $118,000.
Yeah, okay.
it's a miss. It'll have to be added.
So 118,000, okay. And the paginite panels are essentially panels that can tolerate high temperatures so that you can train firefighters in a building that's actually burning, and you don't have to keep rebuilding the building every time you do that. You can keep reusing it so that you can keep training. So that's what those panels are designed to tolerate, those high temperatures, and do that repeatedly so that you can use it over and over again. So I did want to just reminded myself here, there's one change on the consent agenda, minor change on the consent agenda, 20A. Should have said this up front, I apologize. 20A, I hear people turning pages, so I'll wait. 20A, approved contract extension to purchase fall detection and notification equipment should be 12/1/22 to 11/20/23. So we're not going backwards in time. 11/30/23, okay. So 12/1/22 to 11/30/23. Yeah. Any questions on that? Okay. All right. I think we hit Stiffen out everything. So, okay. Right, so just. No. Moving on with consent agenda, we have the minutes from September 7th, 2022. Any comments or questions regarding the minutes? No? Okay. We'll include that in the consent agenda vote. Consent agenda is resolutions 1 through 22F. Is there a motion to approve the minutes and the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. With the corrections, yes. Okay. Regular agenda, we have general services, 5G LLC, approved marketing agreement and revenue split for cellular company leases on county properties. We do have Mr. Andrew Corrigan here to talk a little bit about this. We think this is going to be something we'll be able to bring some added revenue into the county, and it doesn't really cost us anything.
Correct, yes. Good morning, everyone. Andrew Corrigan. I'm actually a senior vice president for Aon, which is a commercial insurance firm, but... Sorry.
You might be too tall. This is the bad part of being tall.
My day job is a commercial insurance broker. I work for Aon, which is a global company. We are partnered with the county, and we have a strategic partnership with 5G LLC. So with that, Rainey, if you can go to the next slide. I brought Commissioner Harvey, Marseglia, and DiGirolamo the opportunity with 5G LLC for the fact that it could generate revenue for the county and help offset some, supplement different programs and what have you throughout the county. So the platform of 5G LLC is to bring the county and or commercial real estate owners the opportunity to monetize their rooftops through the 5G deployment and 5G antennas and infrastructure across the country. So right now, you guys are probably all familiar with the cell coverage that you get on your cell phones through 3G and 4G antennas. 5G does exist, but it's not quite the blanket coverage that all the carriers need across the country. So just to provide some context on that, there's about 170,000 antenna sites across the country that provide the 3G and 4G network. Over the course of the next 3 years, there needs to be about 3 million of these sites to provide the cellular coverage from all the carriers that will be utilizing the spectrum of the 5G network. So 5G LLC has created a platform to help organizations such as the county market their commercial real estate and their assets to the cell phone carriers. There's about 23 carriers that will be transacting over the next 3 years, bringing about $150 billion opportunity for commercial real estate owners. So we're going to work with the county, market the properties that the county owns, and hopefully bring revenue generating opportunities. And besides the revenue, another added benefit is the fact that it's going to bring faster connectivity, more business efficiencies through technology, and that's all things that the county will be able to tap into in the coming years.
Okay. All right, questions for Mr. Corrigan? Yeah. Okay. All right, so we have, obviously we own, I was speaking to the board members. We obviously have, I forget how many properties we have, obviously, of course, not just the big ones, but this is even something we do in smaller properties. There's literally hundreds of properties across the county that the county actually owns where these antenna can go. Can you just give a little bit of a description? Because I worry that people think they hear 3 million antenna and they're thinking of the 120-foot towers.
Correct.
Yeah, no, it's not that.
Yeah. So the new technology actually doesn't make sense for what you traditionally see antennas on, which are towers, 150 feet in height or higher. The new solution will be specific to rooftops. It's more conducive from a height standpoint. The antennas need to be in close proximity to one another. So, to Commissioner Harvey's point, the county owns about 250 buildings throughout, Bucks. So, not every site will be selected, but there might be some sites that will be strategically placed that the carriers would like to be on, that the county can obviously bring in revenue by renting out those rooftops. So, hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah.
I can
What do these antennas look like, basically?
The antennas are anywhere from 3 feet in height to maybe 1 or 2 feet wide. There's the ability to conceal them on the rooftop so that it's not an eyesore, especially if it's in a historic, neighborhood or district. No health or safety complications at all with these antennas. And they take up about 15 square feet, 15 square feet on a rooftop. So not a large area that would, be taking up. There's no roof penetration, so you don't have to worry about any issues with, rain or water getting into the building or anything like that. I mentioned the $3 million. Initially, there's going to be about 800,000 of these 3 feet antennas that will be deployed, and then the second deployment, which would be phase 2, much smaller sites, which would be anywhere from the size of a laptop computer, and that would go anywhere from ground level to 10 feet in height. And again, that would, we're going to see, once that deployment happens, that's where you're going to see a lot of the autonomous vehicles more, more prevalently used, drone, things like that nature, what Amazon's looking to do with drone delivery and stuff like that, so.
Okay. Mr. Miller, can you go back to the slide that showed the different heights of towers? I think that was a good one, just in terms of talking about what Mr. Carkin's talking about. You look at 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5G. In order for the data to move the way it needs to move at a 5G level for us to be, now that we're all used to getting our things fast and we're spoiled by the immediate gratification we get from our TikToks and that Ms. Reese puts out for us. You need to have more antenna, you need to be closer together. Essentially, you're building a tighter network. It's thinking literally of a network. And so while the large towers were good for 1 and 2G, because they broadcast a good distance, you need things that are closer to ground level. In some cases, even this building in the Justice Center might be too tall for 5G. But the idea between 5G is you could have the same carrier, same carriers, not just having an antenna on this building, but also wanting one on the Justice Center and wanting another one on, let's say, the Doylestown Library, because they need them close together. And so if there's multiple county properties that are close together, every one of them could get an antenna, and every one of them is going to be a different lease, which is multiplying the amount of money that's going to be coming in through this program. So 5G is essentially the marketing part of this, so it's not something we have to do. Obviously, they would still work with general services when they want to put things on our buildings, but it does bring in added revenue and helps us use the resources we have to provide a need to people and also bring in extra money we can provide for other needs. So, okay. Mr. Carkin, thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. So if there are no questions from commissioners about item 23, the regular agenda, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Budget adjustments, Mr. Boscola.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. For your consideration, adjustment number 9 and 10 for 2022 will adjust the operating budget for the emergency rental assistance programs. This will account for and recognizes the revenue and the expense for both of these programs that carry forward from 21 and the new revenue received in 22. They're listed as 2 separate adjustments because they're 2 separate funding streams. One is the federal dollars that come directly from the federal government, and the other one is the federal dollars that pass through the state government to the county. This will account for an estimated expenditures for 2022. There will be a carry forward of money, and both programs will continue into, expected to continue into 2023, and that will be included in the 23 budget.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And the Emergency Rental Assistance Program, as you heard, is a program that's has been funded through federal money or federal through state to us, and it is has kept over 3,000 families, I believe, in their homes over the past year and a half or so. And so that's obviously money very well spent, and I thank our Housing and Community Development department for all the work they do and continue to do, because it's a huge job that they work with, every single day. Is there a motion to approve budget adjustments 9 and 10?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Personnel actions, the commissioners, again, do not have control over personnel actions regarding the courts or the row offices, so this is just the commissioners' list. If there are no comments or questions about the commissioners' list, personnel actions, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, board appointments. We have one appointment to the Bucks County Drug and Alcohol Commission. Dylan Weir is a high school student. There is one place for a high school student, one slot on this commission. So it is a one-year appointment. Typically, it's a junior or senior. I think Mr. Weir is actually a senior from Bristol High School, recommended by one of his teachers and assistant principal. His appointment will be effective immediately and go until August 1st of 2023. Is there a motion to appoint Mr. Weir to the Bucks County Drug and Alcohol Commission?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Other civics, the contributions to Bucks County 4-H for $1,200. Bowman Hill Wildflower Preserve, $2,400. Fire Professionals Aiding Children, $3,200. And Middletown Grange Fair, $2,500. Is there a motion to approve those contributions?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ms. McKevitt?
Thank you, Commissioner. Over the past few months, the PA Career Link of Bucks County has moved out of Bristol Township and to Ben Salem at 4800 Street Road in Trevose. They're open now, but their grand opening is September 28th. And they will also be hosting a multi-industry job fair. So if you're looking for employment, please attend the grand opening and the multi-industry job fair on the 28th. And then, if I could, I'm going to turn some time over to Rachel to talk about hub expansion.
Thank you, Margie. So I just wanted to share, I think it was a really positive development for the Division of Human Services back in February of 2021 that we launched our Bucks County Human Services Hub. And I wanted to follow up on what Margie just shared in terms of the career link. So one of the things we're doing with the hub is we're now taking our services off-site from Doylestown and going to other parts of the county. So we started on September 13th at the career link at the address Margie just read out, 4800 East Street Road. We're there Tuesdays from 9 to 12. And then in the afternoon, the hub is going to the Martha Miller No Longer Bound location, which is located at 5616 Mitchell Road in Levittown. And again, this is just another way that we can ensure that people who need services or need supports in the county that are human services related and they're not really sure where to get started, they can reach out to the hub, they can email, they can call, they can walk in, and now we're expanding the services. So I really want to appreciate, there's a number of people in the hub. Shayna Bender is a new resource navigator, Katie Marseglia is a resource navigator, and Yvonne Kowalski is our community engagement officer, and I know that they're all working very hard to make sure people get the supports and resources that they need.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Thank you, Rachel. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank General Services and the staff at the Workforce and Economic Development for the move from Bristol to Ben Salem. And our IT staff. It was a tremendous undertaking, and we're grateful for all the time that our staff spent moving them from Bristol to Ben Salem. In addition, I want to make the county is hosting another, I think their last one this year for Household Hazardous Waste event on October 8th at the Upper Bucks Strayer Middle School in Quakertown. And then, thankfully, Sanitaria's office is hosting an electronics recycling event, and that's Saturday, September 24th. This is a program that, unfortunately, we have not been able to do here in Bucks County for some time. So this is, I think, a very timely and important event. It's running from 10 a.m. to noon at the Central Bucks East High School. Well, it says Doylestown, but it's actually Buckingham, so we're looking forward to that. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Khan.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have 3 items to report today. First, the Board of Commissioners had its standing executive session yesterday. They conducted that to discuss and consult with staff and legal counsel about personnel matters and pending litigation matters. Second, I know our Consumer Protection and Weights and Measures Director, Mike Bannon, can't be here today. He's enjoying a much-deserved vacation, helping his parents celebrate their 75th wedding anniversary. So happy anniversary, Mr. and Mrs. Bannon. But I know if Mike were here, he would want to personally thank the commissioners, Margie, our incredible staff in General Services and Finance for making item 13C, which is the purchase of a Ford F-50 chassis, possible. This item is a long time coming, and what you see on the agenda is the out-of-pocket cost to get that vehicle. What you don't see is the incredible work that is possible and the revenue that comes to the county as a result of that. Some folks may remember we showed a public service announcement, and I know Commissioner Harvey has been out himself to watch these inspections. I think we're all grateful that the price of gas has been starting to stabilize, but it's always critically important to make sure that consumers in Bucks County are getting what they paid for when they're at the pump. And that work is possible because of this incredibly sophisticated equipment, which you just can't throw in the back of a pickup truck. It will only fit in literally one kind of vehicle, and because of supply chain issues, even though the vehicle that the department's been using has more than outlived its life expectancy, we've been really running on fumes, waiting for this new vehicle to come in. And so I know everyone is extremely grateful that this could happen. So on behalf of the department, I'm going to extend our thanks to the board and staff. Finally, from time to time, we've used this platform to remind the public that Article 1, Section 27 of Pennsylvania's Constitution strongly, perhaps uniquely, guarantees the people of Pennsylvania the right to clean air, pure water, and the preservation of our natural resources. To my knowledge, there's no Board of Commissioners in county history that has been more proactive in meeting its fiduciary responsibilities under the Constitution than this board. And so I want to take this opportunity to talk about 2 important developments in lawsuits that the county has brought in order to protect our environment. First, we had previously reported that a federal judge in the Eastern District of Pennsylvania had ruled that neither the senators nor the municipalities that were trying to undo the Delaware River Basin Commission's ban on fracking had any right to bring a lawsuit like that. And so Bucks County had joined a coalition that was led by Senator Sanacero in opposing this lawsuit, and we were joined by Montgomery County in a cost-sharing legal representation by our trusted outside counsel at Hangley Aronchek. What was really sort of striking about this attempt to undo the ban on fracking was the plaintiffs were interpreting the Environmental Rights Amendment, which is a state constitutional amendment that is designed to protect our natural resources from exploitation. And their position was that the real way to read that law was to say that the Constitution requires us to liquidate all of our natural resources for cash. We thought that was absurd. A federal judge in the Eastern District of Pennsylvania agreed, and the plaintiffs pushed it. They appealed to the Third Circuit Court of Appeals, and I'm glad to report that just a few days ago, a unanimous panel of the Third Circuit Court of Appeals affirmed this dismissal of this ridiculous idea. The Third Circuit soundly rejected that claim. They said it was a fundamental misunderstanding of the Equal Rights Amendment that would turn the Constitution upside down if it were accepted. So it was a great result on behalf of the people, not just of Bucks County, but the entire tri-state or really 4-state region that is protected by the Commission. Finally, we've also talked about the lawsuit that we brought in partnership with our district attorney, again, to protect the health and environment here in Bucks County. This was against 3M and other manufacturers of aqueous firefighting foam. This was foam that unknowingly was used by firefighters, by military, and others, especially in public safety, that actually, unbeknownst to the public, contained very dangerous chemicals we now know as PFAS, which polluted our environment. It got into our water, it got into our land. And we, again, as fiduciaries invoking the Environmental Rights Amendment, brought a lawsuit that was part of a national litigation. We brought an outside counsel at no out-of-pocket cost to the county to do this case on contingency, and they have actually been at the forefront of this national litigation. So 3M and the other defendants try to have our cases thrown out on summary judgment. They claim that they were immune as government subcontractors. That there is a defense for that for government subcontractors, which would apply if the government, in this case municipalities like Bucks County, had full knowledge of the defects and risks of a product that was being used. And so a federal judge sided with us, with the plaintiffs, and rejected that idea and talked about how 3M had withheld voluminous, I'm quoting here, internal studies and its privately held conclusion that the product is insidiously toxic, that is obviously inconsistent with the kind of conduct required of a contractor seeking governmental contractor immunity. So again, it's just one step, but we continue this fight. We continue to make progress, and we're very pleased with the result that we obtained in federal court just last week. And with that, Commissioner, we conclude our report.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate all the work that your law department's done on that as well. Certainly could not have done it just the three of us. I mean, you know, we're smart, but we're not that smart. So appreciate all your help and that of the staff. So, all right, we have public comment now. This is general public comment. Phyllis Rubin Arnold.
Thank you so much. I know that you, as county commissioners, have no say over state or federal laws, but I'm worried about the state of women's rights in our county, and I'm hoping there's something that can be done on a local level. Ever since the Supreme Court struck down Roe v. Wade this summer, states across the country have been racing to enact laws that criminalize abortion, even in cases of rape, incest, and danger to the life of the mother. Laws that would put doctors in prison, laws that have already endangered the lives of women and girls all over the country. And just last week, Senator Lindsey Graham introduced a bill that would institute a national ban on abortions. We know that there are politicians in Pennsylvania who want to rob women of their rights to control their own bodies and make decisions about their own health care. Most of the Bucks County representatives in Harrisburg have already voted to do this. I don't know how the county's health insurance works, but I would hope that we treat women with respect they deserve to control their own bodies and their own health care decisions. I hope the commissioners will take a stand to defend women's rights. Thank you.
Nancy Sherlock.
Good morning, Nancy Sherlock, Morrisville. I think it's still morning. Couple things. One, for those who are still convinced that our voting system here in Bucks County is fraudulent or flawed, I encourage them again to get involved and find out how it really works. And I suppose as we get closer to election, we'll hear more. I appreciate the weight and measures truck. I think that's wonderful for all of our residents. It is ironic that the truck's $50,000 and outfitted is almost $80,000, but nonetheless, I'm hoping to get that money back soon. Regarding the lawsuits, thanks for those updates. And I'd like to say that September is Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month, and I appreciate the fact that Doylestown has become a Turn the Town Teal as well with all the ribbons. Morrisville is also a Turn the Town Teal town, and I appreciate that because there's still a long way to go to get the word out about ovarian cancer. And so I appreciate all those that help put up all those ribbons. One thing I would mention, I don't know that our commissioners can do anything about it, but the county is very proud to be able to have this new project at the old steel mill, which is North Point, but it's causing great havoc in Morrisville and particularly on Pennsylvania Avenue. We have to work with our legislative partners to figure out a way to get the 1,000 trucks of a day, and that's not an exaggeration. So,
okay.
Any help you can give us, we appreciate. Thank you. Have a good day.
Right. Thank you. Priscilla Linden.
Priscilla Linden, Upper Makefield. It's happened again. We've spent more time in this meeting listening to partisan political trivia. The supposed agenda item 3 on Board of Elections covered on-call support, support for electronic poll books, and backup paper poll books. I heard only one comment that is tangentially related to that, and that did not recognize the fact that you're preparing backup paper poll books. So I object to all the political partisan comments that come before this meeting, especially Mr. Mackhouse, who always stands here with his political paraphernalia on his head, giving campaign partisan political drivel. So I'm glad that you interrupted him, as you did me. It would be a very ugly political circus if we all brought signage and paraphernalia about our candidates. This is not the place for that. The constituent services that are the business of the commissioners is too serious to spend so much time on that drivel, and I hope you will tighten that up a little bit more. I thank you for listening. Thank you.
Lori Katz.
I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing here because I have a public comment and you gavelled me into silence last week after your electronic sign-up failed. I worked on this till 1:30 in the morning last week to speak it, and you silenced me because your electronics failed. Now there are people in the audience who came in late, but within this time frame that would like to speak, and it says right on your website, Bucks County residents who wish to make a comment during the meeting may do so in person. Are they going to be allowed to? That's my question to you. We're given 30 minutes at the end. We're given 2 minutes. 2 minutes to speak. I was given 2 minutes to speak last week. I signed up for it. I raised my hand to you, and I said at the end of the meeting, I said, your person, Christopher, saw that I signed up electronically, and why was that paper not circulated to me to speak? And I raised my hand, and I didn't yell out, and you gavelled me, you silenced me, and that's not fair. And I'd like to ask you if I can recoup my time and speak for my 2 minutes. There's 20,180 minutes in 2 weeks, and I get 2 of those minutes. Will you grant me that? Will you grant me that? Can we have a town hall discussion about this? Can we have a discussion back and forth? I'm tired of coming here speaking at you, and then you speak at me. I would like to have a conversation. Can we do that? Can we have a town hall? Can we discuss elections? Can we discuss whatever topics anybody wants to talk about in here? I'm a resident, I'm a tax-paying resident, I have questions. I'm tired of this forum being, I speak to you, you speak to me, and you finger wag oftentimes at the end, and I don't get a voice at the end to speak back to you what I think. Can I reclaim my time?
Okay, thank you. It's your 2 minutes. Thank you. You just had your 2 minutes. So, Ms. Katz, you had 2 minutes just now. You chose to just talk about other things rather than just read what you were so intent on reading. So if you had just chosen to read it, I don't understand it. Sir, Ms. Katz, you're clearly grandstanding. Please sit down. Yes, you are. Please sit down, Ms. Katz. You're not interested in the conversation. You just want to talk at people. Please sit down. Ms. Katz, please sit down. Everybody likes Lieutenant Ben. Everybody likes Lieutenant Ben. Ed Mackhouse. Mr. Mackhouse?
Ed Mac House, Buckingham. I'd like to speak on, like, for NOVA, anti-bullying, that's a great organization, and I think it's important not to have bullying. And we have to define bullying. What is war? War is the continuation of politics by other means. We have to have rational means of discussion to resolve problems. And so I believe we need a two-party system, bi-party actions. And the question of opioid advisory, we know that there's problems with drugs. I believe that drugs should be handled, should not be legalized. We should have doctors and a chance to rehab people that are on drugs. I don't think that pushing sick drug pushers should be allowed to try and make legal drugs. I don't want to punish people that have problems, but the idea is to control homeless people and people who are on drugs. Like, for example, like in Kensington, the cost might be $45,000 a year for a homeless person because they don't have a home. They're stuck in the hospitals. So that, and then the question of environment, like fracking, nothing is free. If we limit the fracking and our energy production like we have, and so the world doesn't have enough energy, you have wars like Russia, we have to get energy from someplace. So I don't think the cost of a nuclear war would be much worse than the cost of pollution from the fracking. So I think you have to balance it. Like the 5G stuff, there's radiation there. Nothing is perfectly safe. We have to have doctors, medical scientists to evaluate these things and have proper discussions. Thank you.
Thank you. Beth Curcio.
I, number one, would like much more information on the safety of 5G. The children today are the sickest generation ever in our country. A lot of the sprays, a lot of the food, and a lot of 5G too. It's not proven that it's better than 4G. So I would like you to get some information on the safety of 5G. The other thing that I noticed when you said, Mr. Harvey, that our inflation was caused by COVID. It was not caused by that. It was caused by the new administration shutting down. You can like, I wish you were on camera, how your attitude, shutting down our energy independence. We were selling our energy to other countries. We had a great economy before all this, before 2020. And you all know that. You know why the price of gas is going down right now? Because the midterm elections are coming. We've played this game year after year with the uniparty of the Democrats and the Republicans. And Miss, I don't know, whatever your name is, he has the right to wear, you know, a shirt that says whatever his political affiliation is. You are more than welcome to wear a Biden hat if you want. I'm just tired of people trying to silence people. And Lori's right, a conversation. You sit up there like the kings and the queens. We, the people, pay your salary. We, the people, need to have conversation instead of acting like children. Diane stands up, she sits up there, she doesn't listen to anything, and all she does is write down. So at the end of the day, she can say, hey, there was 19 lies. Hey, there was 3 conspiracy theories. Why don't you listen to the people? The more money you throw at a situation, drugs and alcohol, it's because of the way the education system and everything else is. You just can't keep the corruption going because we, the people, pay for your corruption. Thank you.
Andy Warren.
So many issues, so little time. I'll speak to the one that I prepared for. July 21st, August 18th, and October 6th. The 3 of you either gave a proclamation, discussed, or brought up the subject of opioids, and all 3 as a unit spoke out against it. I stood here and supported all 3. I stand here today and support all 3 for your opioid proclamation today and for the committee's work. I also would underscore a particular point by the woman who gave the report today, and she talked about protecting the community. I totally, absolutely agree. As elected officials, you three have far more ability to protect the community than do I. Fentanyl, Pennsylvania has the third highest number of deaths of fentanyl in the United States. Bucks County is the fourth or fifth largest county in Pennsylvania. You three are in a very unique position, and I implore you again to take advantage. Speak out through the County Commissioners Association. This country must stop allowing free-flowing fentanyl and open borders come into our country, because it is absolutely impacting the country, the state, and this county. You are in position to be leaders of that through the county's association. Do it.
Matt McGarren.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Matt McGarren, Doylestown Township, and I'm honored to be a member of the board of the Bucks County Drug and Alcohol Commission. For those of us who have lost a loved one to the opioid crisis, and for those who are suffering still from an opioid substance use disorder, the opioid settlement funds give us two important things. First, for those who have been lost to the crisis and those who are suffering from the ever-expanding shockwaves from it, the legal victories give recognition that this isn't their fault. That despite the pharmaceutical industry's efforts to blame those who've been addicted, we have public affirmation that this crisis, that these deaths were caused by big pharma and lax regulation and not by any moral failings of its victims. Secondly, this settlement gives us hope that we will have the additional financial resources needed to address this public health crisis, and that we will be marshaling all additional necessary resources to prevent more of us from going down a path of substance misuse and to help everyone stay safe while finding their path to recovery. With this context, I would like to commend the work of the Opioid Settlement Fund Advisory Committee. While I don't know the specifics of the recommendations that the committee is going to put forward, I have some insight into the process that they went through to create these recommendations, and I want to especially thank Diane Rosati for showing a genuine willingness to engage with all interested parties to get fresh perspectives on what we should be doing to address the emergency. There's a saying that hurt people hurt people. And for those of us who have lost a loved one from this crisis, it feels like we can't do enough right now to fix it. So out of that eagerness to make immediate progress comes an anger and a desire to blame. And I'm sorry that Diane and other members of the advisory committee have been taking the burden of that blame and that anger. Going forward, I want to encourage the commissioners to continue to look for guidance from an advisory committee comprised of people who have the ability to see the larger picture of this public health emergency and to bring forward positive plans to address these challenges. Now, solving the emergency requires a whole government approach, and the engagement of mental health and behavioral health specialists, our hospitals, our law enforcement, criminal justice systems, our veterans, and those who have lived experiences of substance misuse and loss.
Okay, Thank you, Mr. McGarren. Appreciate your comments. Okay, those are all the names on the list. Just address, please stop screaming from the back of the room. Please stop yelling from the back of the room, ma'am. There is a very clear guidance. It's been this way for months and months and months and months, that in order to sign up, you have to be here before the public comment period begins. Someone who comes in afterwards, is not able to sign up. This is not new. So I apologize if people just haven't been paying attention to the rules, but it's been this way for a long time. Just focusing on a couple of the issues that came up. In terms of 5G, this is something that has rolled out in Europe. It has not really rolled out in the United States yet. And so the idea that somehow 5G is causing, injuries to children. Not really sure how you could claim that if it hasn't even started yet. So, issues with North Point. Bucks County has been working through its Planning Commission and with PennDOT and with state officials to have some changes made in Marsville on South Pennsylvania Avenue. For those that aren't familiar with the area, North Point, which is going to be the largest e-commerce distribution site on the east coast of the United States, is being built in the former U.S. Steel Mill, which is in Falls Township. It will generate an enormous amount of truck traffic. There is some concern about the trucks going through Marsville Borough, through residential neighborhoods, which really cannot handle that kind of traffic. And so we are working with the state and the Delaware Valley Planning Commission to have that route redesignated so that trucks will not be allowed on that road. Currently, they are allowed on that road. And so there is an effort made. I know I've spoken to the manager in Marsville, as well as the manager in Falls Township. They're going to be included in this process. I've already given them an update. And so looking forward to having that change made for the people of Marsville. There was also a question by Ms. Ruben Arnold about abortion and health care. Following the Supreme Court decision this summer, I did ask our Human Resources Office for some guidance and clarity on what our health insurance policy says. We are self-insured in this county when it comes to health insurance. We do provide full reproductive services for our employees and their families. We've already begun looking at what we might have to do should there be a change in Pennsylvania law with regards to access to safe abortions and other medical procedures that women may require of their own choice. All I can say, speaking only for myself, is as long as I'm sitting in this chair, this county will continue to provide access, full healthcare access to all its members and their families. And so that's my personal and only my personal stance in terms of how this county will handle reproductive health care for its employees and their families. We're up to commissioner comments. Commissioner Marseglia?
Just briefly, I served here for 14 years with Commissioner Charlie Martin, and I constantly asked him if we could televise our meetings, and he was opposed to it. And I've been thinking about him a lot lately because the reason he said we shouldn't do it was that there could be public comment that people would take advantage of and try to make it into a show, basically. And so I sit here and listen to public comment that has deteriorated ever since we've been on television, and at the very least is disrespectful. But frankly, I'm going to call it out for what it is. It's bullying and it's predatory. And as an upstander, I'm going to tell you every single time how many lies there were. There were only 2 today, but there were 8 delusions. Thank you.
Commissioner DiGirolamo.
Okay, thank you. A couple quick comments. I mean, a lot of talk today about the election and the security of our election, and all the comments that were made, especially about the drop boxes and having security at the drop boxes, which the commissioners voted 3-0 to have the ballot clerks or ballot security. I don't think it came up that we also have cameras on each of the drop boxes. So if there's a question of what happened, it's not going to be what he said or she said happened. We have the ability here in Bucks County, and as far as I can see, I mean, there's not a whole lot of counties in the state of Pennsylvania that have this level of security at their drop boxes. And I know our district attorney was here. There were a few incidents in the primary, which he investigated, and, so I really think these drop boxes are very secure, and we've got double security. Our sheriffs here, I believe the sheriffs pick up the drop boxes at the end of the day when the boxes are closed, and the sheriffs pick them up and bring them to the Board of Elections right away. So, and we've really got good security here in Bucks County. And our director of the Board of Election, Tom Freitag, is here today. He's sitting in the back here, and I just want to let everybody know. And I've been down there a lot since we've been in office, and Tom and his staff just do an amazing job. And I'm going to say it again, an amazing job in making sure that the elections here in Bucks County are safe and secure. And I have the utmost confidence in Tom and the job that he and his staff do. I mean, certainly we can ask questions, and you know, that's our democracy. That's the way democracy works. People have questions about security, but I can let everyone know, as far as I'm concerned, we are in Bucks County, and I'm just talking about Bucks County, we have a safe and secure election here in Bucks County. Another issue that came up real quick, Mr. Chairman, if I might, the issue, Diane Rossetti's here, and I want to give a shout out to Diane and her staff at the Drug and Alcohol Commission for the amazing job that they do at their job. I attended a church service. This is Drug and Alcohol Recovery Month, not only here in Bucks County and Pennsylvania, but across the country. September is Recovery Month. And I've always looked at recovery as being a miracle. I have a son in recovery, so I know how big of a deal it is. To the gentleman that stood up that lost a loved one, I believe his son, I mean, my heart just breaks every time I hear a story. And it's just a reminder of how much work we still have to do and how terrible, how awful this disease is of addiction. And it is a disease, and we have to look at it as a disease like any other disease. I attended an event at a local church a couple of weeks ago, and a woman came up to me. I got the opportunity to speak at it. A woman came up to me, and she said, "You saved my life 2 years ago. I called you. I was just so desperate. I didn't know what to do or where to go. You had me in treatment and getting an assessment the next day, and it just worked for me. And I've been 2 years in recovery," and she says, "Thank you." She gave me a hug, and I gave her a hug, and that's just something you'll never forget. But there was also an instance, and it's also something I'm never going to forget, where a family called me, and I knew one of the members of the family, and it'll stay confidential, the name, where they came from. They had a daughter just getting out of treatment. She had put the family through just such a hard time for a number of years. She was in a long-term treatment facility, coming home. They weren't confident in having her come back home again, and they wanted to put her in a recovery house or a halfway house because they thought that would be really good for her. So she was getting out that day. I worked with the family, made a couple of calls. I couldn't get her in that day, but we got her in the next morning. So she was going to spend one night home with the family and go into this recovery house the next day. Unfortunately and heartbreaking, she got out of the house at night, left home, didn't come back home. They found her the next morning in a local park, dead of an overdose. And it just has stuck with me. And, I'm never going to forget that because there's always, why couldn't we get her in right away? But that's just the nature of this awful disease. And Fred Harron, who's our sheriff and used to be the director of public safety in Bensalem, he started a program with the police department that people that come into the police department, if they ask for help, that the police will help them find help and get into treatment. I know other police departments have now picked that up, Fred, I believe, right? How many are doing that?
Mallory, 19.
Yep, 19 in Bucks County. I mean, I would hope the other police departments would pick that up because I think it's a useful resource. But boy, we've got a lot to do with this disease, and I know our district attorney's here. He takes it very seriously as well, and really puts a lot of time and effort into helping people and make sure people get help. But Diane, I want to make sure we thank you for your good work. It's not easy, I know. Criticism is part of our job, and we have to take that criticism. And in this democracy, criticism, I think, is a good thing, because it gives us an opportunity to listen what people have to say, and maybe we can improve in what we're doing. But also criticism is an opportunity to explain why you did what you did, and explain to people. So when it comes to this disease, we've got to use every available tool that we possibly can have to address this disease, and hopefully someday, and Andy, you talk about the fentanyl, and again, it's the fentanyl with the opioids, and fentanyl is now being mixed in with methamphetamines, and these addicts don't know what they're taking, whether it's a pill or heroin or methamphetamine. They have no idea what's being put in there along with what they think they're buying or getting or using. They have no idea. And unfortunately, it's killing way too many people, way too many of our young people. And we need to do as much as we possibly can to get a handle on this and help out. And the money from the opiate settlement is certainly going to help. And again, I'm a big believer in local people know what's best for their community and how to attack the problem. And certainly this is a problem of addiction. So let's everybody work together, keep up the good work. And let's make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate those comments. I'm going to finish off just with a couple things. First, congratulations to Council Rock South High School and New Hope Silbury Middle School. They were just recently named Blue Ribbon, National Blue Ribbon schools. So we're always proud when we have some recognition of some of the great work that our school districts are doing. So congratulations again, Council Rock South High School and New Hope Silbury Middle School. It's interesting as kind of praising schools, and we know that schools have certainly been a focus of a lot of negative attention. Ironically, this week is Banned Books Week. In America, I think it's American Libraries Association keeps track of books that are at the top of the list for being banned. It used to be something I would give out to my students, and ask them, how many of these have you read? And they were always a little surprised. These are 9th and 10th graders or even 11th graders. They'd be like, well, I've read, was I not supposed to read some of these? Am I going to get in trouble now? When we talk about exchanging ideas, that includes allowing people to read books that you may not want to read. And you know what? Don't read them. It's very simple. If there's books in a library that you don't want your children to read, then certainly you're right as a parent. If you have a good relationship with your child and you're talking about the choices they're making, then it should be an issue. But there are other parents who would like their kids to read those books. And so that's what a free society is about. Just wrapping up on the things we've done in our agenda, obviously, as Commissioner DiGirolamo said, a lot of focus on the election. In this agenda just today, we allocated about $920,000 to help our seniors in Bucks County, about $4 million to help the behavioral health developmental programming department here in Bucks County, about $111,000 for the sheriff's office, about $1.9 million for children and families, whether that's human services, housing, children, youth, juvenile probation, about $412,000 expended by the Workforce and Economic Development Agency to help those who are looking for work and help employers who are looking for employees. And in addition, they've brought in about $667,000 in revenue just in that department. That's just this meeting. We have a lot of good work is being done, as was pointed out by one of our speakers. This is really the kind of work that we've really focused on when we come here, providing the services to the public, whether it's elections or helping our seniors or helping children or keeping our streets safe and helping those who are suffering from addiction and everything else. So thank you to all the staff here, as always, to the row offices for the work you do in your offices. Thank you. And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.